Borderline personality disorder is when someone who didn't get a secure attachment growing up now doesn't have a strong sense of self or identity.
It's so painful mentally that it starts to physically hurt.
BPD is actually described by medical professionals as the emotional equivalent to having third-degree burns over 90% of your body.
The self-harm, hospitalizations, suicide attempts. I don't think there are too many mental illnesses that are more serious.
Personality disorders are diagnosed starting at age 18.
The unalive yourself rate for people living with borderline personality disorder is so high because it is truly so hard to live with.
It feels like my entire life's journey thus far has been a perfectly crafted cocktail of situations that landed me at this diagnosis. As if my biography could be written and titled, How to Give Someone BPD, a Step-by-Step Guide.
One of the most painful mental health illnesses because of how intense and severe your emotions become when you have it.
They're guarding themselves because the people that were supposed to love them didn't, and every moment of the first 18 years of their lives was full of confusion.
I tell my patients, if you end up in an emergency room for a medical disorder, for God's sakes, do not tell them you meet criteria for borderline personality disorder.
Okay, first of all, what color are we thinking? I normally just keep it white. I kind of want to spice this video up, so what are we thinking? Do we like the purple or red? Oh, it kind of matches my... Should we do red? Okay. Okay, so normally when I go into filming these videos, I kind of have a setup of what I want to talk about, but I didn't want to do that for this video, one, because a lot of the time when I make a script, not that my videos are scripted, but a lot of the time when I even make an outline for a video, then I just get really anxious for some reason and I feel like I have to follow the whole outline, and I don't want that to happen in this video. Also because I don't really know how to outline this video because there's a lot that I want to talk about, but also I don't really know how to talk about it, so we're just gonna sit in front of the camera and I guess I'm just gonna word vomit. I hate that term. And I'm gonna try to edit this to make it not seem really confusing and whatever. So that's the first thing. Second thing I want to say is that anybody who knows me knows that anytime I talk about anything, especially things regarding me and my mental health, I talk about it very loosely and I talk about it like it's just a casual, and most of the time it is just a casual Tuesday, but I understand that to most people hearing this stuff, it might be that's not chill, but to me it's chill. So it also just makes me really uncomfortable to sit in front of a camera and trying to be sad about it, because that's just not who I am. I don't know, I'm gonna be talking about all this, I'm probably gonna be laughing through it, so if that's kind of weird for you, that's just the way we cope. So that's the second thing I wanted to say. Third thing, I don't actually got anything else, so I guess we just get started. I don't know. So title of this video, the whole premise of this video is kind of a lot, I'm aware of that. If you don't know me or you've never seen me or this is the first time you're ever watching me, it's definitely a very interesting first video you could have came across. But anybody who follows me on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, I'm very open about my mental health and I have been for the past few years. I've been making YouTube videos and honestly just posting on social media for a really long time, but...
And subscribe right over there.
2021, I really started to be open about my struggles, mainly because my struggles were getting so big to the point where I couldn't just make YouTube videos and pretend that I was not doing well. I've just been very open about everything, sometimes to a fault, but making videos has always been my escape, I guess, to not focus on my thoughts that are kind of a lot at times, and I get to make these little pieces of art that get to live on the internet forever, and hopefully other people who want to watch them will watch them. But anyway, I bring all this up because if you've watched me, this video isn't too far from something I would normally make, but I'm not sure that I've ever gone this in depth about everything, mainly because for the longest time I didn't really know what was wrong. But with therapy and just learning things, I guess, I've kind of been brought to a conclusion that makes a lot of sense, and that I don't know, I wanted to make this video talking about it because I know that there are probably other people going through the same thing, or maybe diagnosed with the same disorder. But not only that, I'm just very open about things, and even people who don't relate or just don't really understand it. If you're an active watcher of me, this is something that I have to deal with every single day. I literally am having to deal with it right now, and it really sucks, but it's a big part of my life, and through a lot of learning about it, it's something that's probably never gonna go away, so that's really cool. I've actually had this video planned out for, I don't even know, I honestly want to say since May or June, I've wanted to make this video, which might be a little bit weird because if you see the title is literally I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder for my 18th birthday. What a title, am I right? The title and this whole video is kind of it's not a joke. It's not a joke, it's very real. But the whole idea that I was diagnosed with BPD, which is, spoiler, that's what this video is about. The whole premise that I was diagnosed with BPD on my 18th birthday is not exactly true, but it also kind of is true. For anyone who doesn't know what BPD is, it is basically hell in my body. Like, that's literally, like, it's just hell. It is a personality disorder, obviously, as the title states, and it ruins my life every day. And not only does it ruin my life, but it also ruins kind of everyone's life that is around me, but also like everyone else who also has the disorder. We're all just kind of fucked in the head. It is such a painful disorder, and I know I'm saying this while I'm all smiling, but again, I just don't know how to talk about it. I do hope that the intro of this video kind of gave you a little bit of a premise of exactly what the fuck did I just say? I don't know. I hope the intro of this video kind of gave you a little bit of like a perspective on what the disorder is, or maybe if you've heard of it, hopefully the intro like helps show you just how severe the disorder is. It is such a painful disorder. Literally, if you go into Google and you search up like what is the hardest mental illness to live with, or what is the most painful mental illness, the first result on both of those searches is literally BPD. So that's cool. There are a lot of things that come with having BPD that probably are too many to list in this video. I also, for some reason, don't like talking about the things that come with having BPD, because I feel like the things that you hear that come with having BPD just seem so normal, and I feel like most people will like hear what comes with having BPD and they'll just be like, everybody has to deal with those, like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, actually, so I'll be the first person to say it. There are a lot of things that come with having it, such as abandonment issues, really intense and like uncontrollable anger, as well as like other emotions. Every emotion that we feel is very intense, but anger is a big one. Identity issues, a lot of self-harming. There's a lot, and again, I feel like most people will hear those and just think that that's something that everybody has to deal with, which a lot of people do have to deal with those things, but in the context of dealing with it with BPD, it's not the same as like a normal person. It also happens to be like one of the most deadly disorders, if not the most deadly, like at least mental disorder. Just kidding, I just looked it up, and anorexia is actually the most deadly disorder, which is also bad, and bad for me, because, you know, man, they're really trying to kill me out here. Anyway, the suicide rates for people who have BPD is insane. I think it's like 20% of people who have BPD end up taking their own life, and then I think like 50% of people end up trying. It's actually 80%. So, dude, they're really trying to fucking kill me. Oh my god. Which is insane. Like, those numbers are not heard of in any other disorder. I'm already in that 50%, so we're gonna try to stay out of the like 20 and 30%. But actually, I'm gonna ask Siri, what is the most painful mental illness?
Here's what I found.
What'd you find? Read it to me.
There's nothing to read.
There is. Hello. What is the most painful mental illness to deal with?
I found this on the web.
Bitch. Okay, well, that's what Siri says. Siri's never wrong, also. Anyway, you get it by now. It's a very painful disorder, and it's also one that I was diagnosed with. Now, again, as I was saying earlier, I wasn't technically diagnosed with it on my 18th birthday. The title and the thumbnail and all that is kind of, again, it's not a joke, but it's not like I literally was like, on my 18th birthday, I was like, by the way, you have BPD. I personally would actually argue that I've known that I've had BPD for almost a year now. If you guys follow me on literally anything, you guys know that I love Nessa Barrett so fucking much. She's right here. Shout out my best friend Evan for getting me that poster. I just love her so much. There's so many reasons why I love her, but I truly don't think that there's an artist that I've ever related to more in my entire life. I've been a fan of her since 2021. It's been like 2 years, but she's still like a fairly new artist. The reason I bring this up is because Nessa is pretty much the reason that I even found out what BPD was. Like I said, I've been a fan of her since fucking 2021. I've been a fan since like Counting Crimes, and I've always related to her so much, just like lyrically wise. As I started to get into more of her music, I started to get into her more as like an actual person, and I started to watch a lot of her interviews and live streams and just kind of getting to know more about her and her journey and her personal life. I just related to everything that she talked about. Even like things that happened in our childhoods were like very similar. Through watching a lot of her interviews and podcasts, I quickly learned that she struggles with borderline personality disorder, which I'd never heard of until her. I didn't really think much when I heard her have it. I just knew that that was something she struggled with. I've actually been a fan of her for so long that I was there when she was originally diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and then she later ended up getting re-diagnosed with borderline. And again, I didn't really think much of it. I just knew that that was like something she really struggled with. But over time, as she was more open in interviews and put out more songs, and leading up to the Young Forever album release, she was doing so many interviews and opening up way more about a lot of things, but specifically having BPD. And it's so funny because I remember distinctly watching the Call Her Daddy episode, where I'm pretty sure the title of that episode is like Nessa Barrett might struggle with borderline personality disorder or something. And honestly, that interview was a big turning point for me because she went into so much detail about having BPD, and I remember watching it and being like, this seems oddly familiar to me. Just with her talking about like her experiences and all of the things that led her to getting the diagnosis, I was like, and from that interview, I ended up doing a lot of my own research about BPD, and it's so funny because I remember researching, actually, this is funny, Madison Beer actually recently did an interview for Call Her Daddy where she also, Madison Beer is also someone who struggles with BPD, but in that Call Her Daddy episode, she did go into her own detail about having BPD, and it's funny because she said something that was like exactly how I felt when I learned about what BPD was. I don't remember exactly what she said, and I don't want to like quote her wrong, but she basically said something along the lines of like how she felt when she was reading about what BPD was. She got that same feeling of like when you're reading stuff about your astrology, and I'm not personally into astrology, but I will say that I've read some things about my astrology sign where I'm like, she basically said that it was almost the same feeling of like reading stuff about your astrology sign and being like, oh my god, this like perfectly describes me. Like people who are really into astrology, they like read shit and they're like, oh my god, I'm such a Scorpio. That was me, except when I was learning about BPD, I was like, oh my god, I so have BPD. Two very different things. I really wish that I was just more into astrology and wasn't so much into like personality disorders, but that's just kind of how it was for me. I don't know, I can't stress how much everything just like clicked when I found out that I had BPD. Or I guess in that moment I didn't know that I had it, but there was like no doubt in my mind that I didn't have it. Every single fucking thing that I read about it was just me to a T. From all the struggles that come with it, to how it even develops in a person, to how it makes you feel and how it makes you act. Like just everything was me to a T, and I was like, this is really interesting actually. And from that moment, I actually ended up bringing it up to my therapist. I didn't like tell her and say that I had BPD, obviously, because I didn't really know, but I honestly don't even really know how I brought it up. If I can imagine the situation, I'm assuming I acted some way like, so I don't really know, like, this isn't me, like, trying to diagnose myself, but I, like, kind of, like, learned about this disorder, and I'm not trying to like diagnose myself again, but I you know what I mean? Something like that. And it's so funny because I will always remember that specific session that I brought it up. I could see in my therapist's face that like she agreed, and she's told me this like since that session happened, but which is funny because later on she actually ended up telling me that once I brought it up to her, it actually made so much sense, but it was never something that she ever considered because at the time I had like just turned 17. But the thing about a lot of like really severe mental health disorders, specifically like personality disorders, is they won't be diagnosed until you're at least 18 years old, which brings me into the title of this video actually. So I would say that me and my therapist have been like pretty set in stone that I have BPD since at least this year, like beginning of this year, January, February. I brought it up in like October of last year, but from October till like January of this year, I was basically getting treatment as if I did have BPD, which later obviously we find out that I did, but in that time period, like we weren't entirely sure. So I was basically like getting treatment, doing therapy sessions, checking to see if I met all the like BPD criteria, and I did. So yay. But like I was saying earlier, personality disorders will like never be diagnosed if you're below 18. There's a lot of reasons for that, and I get it. Trying to diagnose someone with BPD or any other like severe disorder like that is really difficult, and one of the only ways that you're even able to really tell if someone has a personality disorder is kind of based through their actions, and oftentimes it can be really difficult to tell if like a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old is acting a certain type of way because they have a personality disorder or just because they're like a really hormonal teenager. But with that being said, I've pretty much known that I've had BPD this whole time, and so has my therapist, and like everyone around me like knew that I had it. But I only turned 18 like 3-4 weeks ago, so So I guess now I'm officially able to say that I have BPD, even though like I've had it this whole time and I've like known that I've had it for like a year at this point, but I don't know, it's weird, you get it. I didn't really want to make a video talking about my BPD until I turned 18 because I didn't want people like coming at me being like, you're younger than 18. I've made some TikToks like here and there, just like not even really talking about me, but like just making TikToks about BPD and like kind of hinting about it, but I never like fully have ever said, like, at least on the internet, I have BPD, but I guess that's what this video was. So yeah, I don't know. I hope this video was, I don't actually know what I hope this video was. I don't know. This is like awkward. I hate ending videos. Like the more YouTube videos I make, the more I realize that I just hate ending videos. But thank you for watching. I love you and I will see you soon. Hopefully. I need to figure out a next video, but I love you and I will see you soon.